On the 85th anniversary of the Little Ships, small craft set sail from Ramsgate to Dunkirk to remember these brave people who used their boats to collect the injured and dying young men from the godforsaken beaches of Dunkirk. Some made multiple trips. 338,000 troops were evacuated, but sadly 90,000 were left ashore. These were the sons and brothers and the fathers. These were our own terrified young souls whose salt-filled wounds would see many die on the return trip. Having a dad that was old enough to serve in the Second World War, he was in Italy and North Africa as a tank driver. I got first-hand information about his own endeavours. People lived a life they never planned during these dark times. My mother had to work in a local ammunitions factory and Dad was conscripted. He was a gentleman who never envisaged a life of bombs and bullets. But he did it, like millions of others. They were fighting tyranny, a world where nothing matters more than the state itself, a future where the hopes and dreams would be crushed in favour of some fabricated greater good. An environment where neighbours and friends spied and snitched on each other through fear of the state. A world George Orwell foretold of, a miserable existence where lives are micromanaged and the slight infringements could see a person simply disappear. I'm sad to say, despite our valiant efforts in wartime, these small islands of Great Britain, known for liberty and truth, are sinking under the weight of the state again. The same brand of unscrupulous tyrants are nudging us closer to a world of constraints, where speech itself is policed heavier than foul criminal deeds. A world where dangerous offenders are released to create capacity, whilst the wrong form of words and low-grade legal advice could land you with a stiffer sentence involving jail time. A sentence that would be greater than one for burglary. We are better than this, and we deserve better than this. I see the man in number 10 as a heartless and cruel tyrant. His chilling bureaucracy is leaving a stain on Great Britain, a stain that no one deserves. It's been so easy for him to implement because most of it was already in place, ready to be used like a ready-made suit, engineered and devised by smiling politicians who care little for this once great country. They see it as a tax farm to be harvested for vanity projects where the rich increase their wealth and the middle class get poorer. It's like being in a cold war with your own government. It's nowhere to be in a hard fought for free society, and we must push back. I wrote that this morning for today, for Twitter and for Facebook. And the reason I wrote it is because I do sincerely believe that we are living in very strange times again. We might not have the inconvenience and the actual physical demise of wartime, but we are living in a very strange period in history where things are being slowly taken away from us. And it's done because of the Tony Blair's influence he had on the civil service and the way quangos and non-government organisations have been gifted with so much power. After I wrote this, I wondered how else to, what other subjects to include on this video. And I came across something written by a young man, Joseph Robertson. He stood as a Reform Party council candidate, very intelligent. He's studied politics. They're lucky to have him. He's only young. That's always a good thing. Sadly, he didn't win his seat. More fool you for not voting him in. And he put a thread. Twitter, if you're not used to it, we're on Facebook. You can just write something for as long as you want. On Twitter, a lot of people used to use threads. They'd write a post, then another one. It's really insightful. And it's stuff you should know about because it will make a difference in how you handle yourself. And the reason I'm saying that is during the last lockdown, Drakeford, who was in charge of Wales, got caught on camera. He thought he wasn't being filmed, where he'd issued a law for you to abide by in Wales to do something. I can't quite remember what it was, but it was actually not a law at all. You couldn't break the law because it wasn't a law. It was a recommendation. And he actually said, there's a video of it somewhere, I've seen it, I put it on my page at the time, I wonder how many of them will be bright enough to realise this isn't a law. He actually said that. I wonder how many people will be bright enough and smart enough to realise it isn't a law, because he was worried about people not complying. The thing being that Joseph Robertson, who's done an awful lot of work on this, and this is why I want to credit him for it, has just nailed it. The insight of what Starmer is up to. You're gonna love it, because this is making you forearmed for what comes in the future, and the reason why we need a government that supports how we think, because we support democracy and freedom. Starmer doesn't. The Lib Dems don't. The Greens don't. I'm dubious about the Tory party. So here's what Joseph has put. It's excellent work. And I'm going to read, it's not too long, I'll read it out for you. This is important. Remember Drakeford. Starmer's signed to give the WHO power to recommend lockdowns and health policies. It's an attempt to surrender of the UK sovereignty. But this treaty is legally toothless. Why? Simple. Parliamentary sovereignty. Parliamentary sovereignty 101. The UK's constitution is built on one core principle. Parliament is supreme. No treaty, no international body, not even the Prime Minister can override it. Laws only have force if Parliament enacts them. The WHO Treaty? Not UK law. Just words on paper. The WHO Treaty signed this month allows the WHO to recommend measures like lockdown and mandates. Here's the kicker. Recommendations aren't legally binding. The WHO can't force the UK to do anything. An attempt to enforce it without parliamentary consent is unconstitutional. Why it's unconstitutional? UK courts have long upheld that international treaties like the WHO only take effect if Parliament passes legislation to implement them. Think Brexit. The EU couldn't bind us without acts of Parliament. Same here. No act, no powers. It's that simple. Starmer's treaty hasn't been laid before Parliament under the Constitution. Reform Governance Act, it's called CRAGS, the Constitutional Reform Governments Act of 2010, for scrutiny. Without this, it's not ratified. No ratification, no legal weight. It's a PM signature, not a law. It's smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors lawfaring. This treaty is political theatre. Starmer's team knows it. It can't override Parliament, but it creates the illusion of global control. It's a PR stunt to push compliance without legal teeth. Critics shout surrender of the sovereignty. They're half right. The WHO itself admits that the pandemic agreement does not impact sovereignty. National decision making is reaffirmed. So why the fuss? Because it's a soft power grab. Unelected bureaucrats influencing policy without democratic accountability. That's the real danger. Why it matters. If Starmer's government follows WHO recommendations without parliamentary approval, it's bypassing democracy. Molly Kingsley warns the WHO's role as directing authority could pressure compliance in a crisis. This erodes the trust and freedom. The Reform UK case, the Reform Party, led by Nigel Farage, is the only party explicitly challenging global overreach. Its anti-immigration, pro-sovereignty stance aligns with rejecting treaties like this. A Reform landslide victory could ensure the UK exits this agreement entirely. The 2029 election needs to be a landslide for Reform. Labour's 2024 win shows that a strong globalist majority. Reform needs similar dominance to dismantle Starmer's globalist policies and restore parliamentary control. Without it, we risk creeping compliance with unelected bodies. The UK's history proves that sovereignty wins. From the Magna Carta to Brexit, we reject external rule. This treaty is a test. Will we let unelected elites nudge our laws, or will we demand Parliament's voice? Reform UK's platform is clear on this. National control, not who directives. That's really important because it was a difficult point to get across during lockdown because the big social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook censored information like this. But realistically, just because a politician, even if he's the Prime Minister, stands on the TV and tells you it's black and it's white, it isn't. He's basically, as Joseph says in his piece, it's smoke and mirrors. It's presented in a manner to make you think you have to do it. So many people got trapped with this during the lockdown period. Arrests were made where people hadn't actually broken any laws because they hadn't been run through Parliament. The police, the wardens that they had at the time, they misinterpreted the direction and recommendations that were made. Some old people's homes stayed open throughout that period. They were allowed to. It was a recommendation, not a law. Too many homes shut down because they found it easier to run the home without the visitors, because they had extra hygiene protocols to follow if they decided to stay open. One or two did. So as you can see, it's all about vocabulary. It's very important that you understand it. Save this video so that you can look at it. I'll title it in such a way. I haven't made my title up yet. I'll title it in such a way so you can flick back to it and listen to it again. Joseph's words have been repeated on my Twitter feed, and they're obviously on his page, Joseph Robertson, on Twitter. He's on Facebook as well. He's respected in the Bruges group. He's worked so hard to become a councillor. Sadly, he failed. I think he'd be a better candidate for Parliament, actually, because he understands what's going on. He's educated in politics and is a real trier. And he's young, and you know I like to support the young because they can carry the fight forward. It's so important. We have one chance in 2029, and getting a government that thinks like we do, that wants to see our own country's sovereignty lead the way, even if they have any blunders, even if things aren't quite 100% the way you want it to go, it's going to be a lot better than the people who are sitting in Parliament right now, like your Ed Davies of this world, and your Kier Starmers, and the loons in the Greens, who are ready to just give our country away. I'm not ready to be given as a gift to faceless bureaucrats who can tell me I can't leave my house because of some reason they've made up. Somebody sat in Geneva shouldn't be able to tell someone in Oswestry they can't go out their house. That's just ridiculous. And even looking back, most of the laws that they implemented were utterly ridiculous, carried no weight and no benefit. So what if it happens again for another reason that they decide, these unelected bureaucrats? You can't name them, you don't know them. So I'm pushing this now because this is our chance to... We don't need to put up with this again. We do not need to put up with it. So my letter to my MP will be going off straight away, and it'll be going off 4 or 5 times this week, and I'll be leaving messages as a voice clip on our answer phone out of hours. I particularly like doing that because I don't really care what they think. I want them to know what I think. I'm not bothered about responses. But we now have all this information. We are forewarned. So we are forearmed, and we're in a stronger position than we've been for such a long time because you've got your 10 councils that are in control of sensible people. That's all you need. They don't need to get everything right. And it makes me laugh when people are sat back saying, oh, they can't, they're sat back waiting for reform councillors to make a mistake. We're not waiting for reform councillors to make a mistake because we've had 14 years of you lot making mistakes day after day and spending money like lottery winners. So there's a lot of stuff to pick about in today's little podcast, and save it somewhere so that you can draw down on the information that's in it. It might help you in the future. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's free. Just click. Is it subscribe? I think it says subscribe, and just click that, and then it helps me grow and I can keep coming back on and doing it.